So good evening to our friends from Asia Pacific. Well, good afternoon to our friends from EMEA, and also good morning to our friends from the US part. This is Judy from Kiloview, and welcome to join our webinar, or maybe it's just a sharing of the new product information today. So actually, as previously we announced quite a lot of the new products, like our Cube series, the E3, and actually in all those past months, we received quite a lot of feedback, interest, while also we have quite a lot of questions from our partners, and they are all curious to see how all those products look like and what kind of functions we can do, or how everything is now moving. So this time for this training or for this webinar, we are just trying to invite all our partners, our distributors, resellers, and also our friends to join this training. So it's just an internal sharing, and we probably will explain, and also I can try to answer as much questions as possible to make sure everyone can understand all those products. And of course, further, we will look forward to your training to our customers, to users, or if you are going to do any marketing activities, then all will be welcome. So let's just start it. I will share my screen about the products. Actually, before I formally start this, I would like to explain, actually I planned a presentation, and also I prepared a video trying to show you how all those products look like, the web UIs, and also especially for the Cube R1 and the Cube X1, the touch screen, and also all those functions. That actually, after I record all those videos, actually that video will be about 30 minutes. So I don't think it will be necessary that I play this video here together, but further we will send you a link with this video, and then probably you can play back or you can check that just for internal sharing, because I'm not just doing a very formal introduction, it's just sharing the information. And further, of course, we will have the formal video introductions for your further reference. So for today's training, I will first talk about our E3. Of course, the E3 is our latest generation, or the new generation of our encoder, which is an upgraded version of our E1, E2, and also the previous S2. So the E3 actually can take both SDI and HDMI inputs for the encoding, while at the same time, we can also look through the inputs. So that means it can, of course, get the video in, while also we can connect to the displays to check or to monitor all those videos. The E3 can support H.265, same as our S2, but the difference is the E3 can take both SDI and HDMI in, and of course we support the encoding simultaneously with SDI and HDMI, and also mix the SDI and HDMI. So that means, with H.265, that will be with the same bitrate, then the image quality will be better, or if with the same image quality, then probably we can save some bandwidth. So of course, H.265 is getting more and more popular. And as previously mentioned, both the SDI and HDMI can be supported, and with HDMI it can be up to 4K 30 inputs, and of course SDI is 3G SDI. So the E3 actually will be able to have three different kinds of the inputs, either SDI or HDMI or SDI and HDMI mixed together as a kind of picture-in-picture or picture-by-picture layout. Well, of course, SDI and HDMI can be input simultaneously, and we can output the streams with two different video sources simultaneously. So this actually would be one of the unique feature if comparing with our previous generation of the encoders. That means if you buy one E3, that means is the same result of buying two units of the previous SDI and HDMI units separately, or even more functions. And of course, we all know the E3 is very cost effective. So that's the reason recently we got quite a lot of the interest, and also this product is very, very popular right now. So for the mix function here, actually I have got a kind of screenshot here. So with the mix, you will be able to put SDI and HDMI video sources in this in this layout, and then of course you can switch between the SDI and HDMI, and also you can adjust all those layouts with the width, height, and all different information freely. So we can do those kind of free layouts. And for the streaming, I think this is one of our main feature, or the main points that we are more advanced than all our other partners or competitors, you know. So with the multiple stream, that means we can output multiple different streams simultaneously. Currently, we support 8 main streams. But of course, in the future, we probably can even add more mainstreams. We will be able to enable more streams to support different destinations or different streaming platforms simultaneously. But just for your information, we don't have any limit to set each stream's bitrate. For example, if you choose H.264 encoding, then for each stream, we probably will be we probably can support up to 40 megabits per second per stream. But actually, with the chipset limits, the bitrate would be recommended to be controlled under 100 megabits per second altogether. So for example, if you are going to really output 8 mainstreams, then that means you probably need to set the bitrate to be probably less than 10 megabits per second to make sure it will not cause any problem to consume a lot of CPUs. So this is just a kind of recommendation for all our partners when you explain the product to the customers. And of course, for one of the main feature with Kiloview products is we can always support different kinds of protocols all in one. And with the E3, it's the same thing. We can support both RTMP, RTSP, SRT, HLS, and of course NDI with NDI HS2 and NDI HX3 as well. I saw some partners raising their hands, so probably let me finish that explanation first. You probably can leave your message or your questions in the Q&A window, and then our sales team will help you to answer some questions, while also later I can help you to answer some of the questions that I didn't check if there is anything that's didn't work, or just let me know. And also we can support the video processing. That means we can rotate, or we can add some other functions and effects. For example, we can do the overlay with text, with image. We can overlay the time. We can overlay the logo, and quite a lot of different functions. That's all the traditional functions all our encoders can support. And also here you can see from the web UI, for your information, the the web UI of the E3 is very similar like our S2, the upgraded version. So it will be a little bit different with our E1 and the E2, but I think it will be more user-friendly. So from this point, you can see we have the safe area, the center cross, or we can quickly add the overlays. We can rotate, or we can mirror the images, and also we can when we do the mix, we can switch between the inputs, between the SDI and the HDMI as well. And for the preview part, it's the same as our other encoders. There we will be able to preview the image or preview the videos. So for the audio parts, I also would like to mention that previously with our E1 and E2, probably that's one of the points quite a lot of customers are looking forward to having more channels of the audio inputs supported. So when we design the E3, this is definitely included in our product purpose and the targets. Currently, we are now moving forward to this target, but probably there will be some other firmware versions updated, supported. But in general, we probably will support up to 8 channels of audio with SDI input and 4 channels of audio with HDMI inputs. And of course, for line in, that will be possible. And actually, if you want to choose the audio sources, actually that will be very flexible. You can choose the audio source either from the HDMI or from SDI or from the line in. So there will be 3 different audio sources you can easily select or flexibly select. While also for the recording function, this is also designed for the E3, but currently the current version is still not supported, but we would support the recording function in our next version with the upgrades. And also with the USB functions, as previously, we all understand we will be able to support the USB expansion for PDZ control, the intercom, the recording, the tally, and all different functions. And for the recording, I forgot to mention, we can also support NAS recording, same as all our previous products, but this function will be upgraded and added in our further upgrades. One of the biggest difference between our E3 and the previous generation of the encoders is we are adding a small LCD display here. And also there will be the buttons to, you can select, and also you can do a little bit selection and operation. So in general, we will be able to show the CPU information, the memories, the firmware version, as well as the video source status, if it's from HDI or HDMI with the resolution. And also we will be able to show, all those IP address and all those things. And as well, this can be work as a tally. So if we work with NDI, then that will be very, very convenient. PoE is, of course, included with the E3. So this is also a big update if compared with our previous E1 and the E2. For the installation, as we have those cold shoe screws so that we can easily mount it on the camera top. And I would also like to introduce that we will also have a card version, same as the E3, but it's a card version that will be compatible with our Cradle series, which is called RE3. And the card actually will be available very soon within August. So that means we can not only have the standalone the desktop version as well. We can put it in the rack mount units, so make it rack mountable. So actually the E3 probably is easy to understand, and the next product I would like to introduce is the Cube R1. Cube R1, of course, is based on our previous software, NDI recorder software. But why we want to design the Cube R1? is actually we want to offer a turnkey solution for our customers that they can easily use the Cube R1 as just one purpose units just for recording. And of course, that would be easy to operate and very convenient to manage. And of course, very reliable for recording. So in general, the Cube R1 is very, it's really very unique product on the market. It's just a kind of plug and play. So it's a turnkey solution. You don't need to prepare any extra hardware. You don't need to do any other kind of settings. While at the same time, it's only for recording. So you don't need to worry if the PC or any of your products, the other functions will have interference with the recording functions and the performance. Well, also the Cube R1 is a multi-channel recorder, so we can support up to 9 channels of NDI high bandwidth recording simultaneously with HD resolution. But if you choose 4K resolution, probably the channels that will be supported could be up to 4 channels only. But of course, that's quite a lot. And with this unit, we'll be able to preview all those NDI sources. And of course, we support the NTP server, which is already, you probably know from our NDI recorder software. So the reason why we would like to design the Cube R1, as we understand on these markets, there are very few this kind of recorders that can support NDI, while also it's independent unit. And most importantly, we would like to build a kind of cost-effective solution. So we understand quite a lot of the recording with NDI, either to be done through the software like our NDI recorder, but the problem is you will need to prepare a kind of high performance computer, the PC, either with Mac OS or with Windows OS. But sometimes, this will give problem if you want to record more, then probably the performance is not enough. Well, at the same time, you will also need to consider about the storage kits and all those things. Or if you want to record, you can also have the options, either use the software, like even the studio monitor, or you run with kind of, for example, the TriCasters or any of those kind of production systems, or you will probably need to integrate with some kind of other systems. So in general, for this kind of solution is quite limited, but of course, everyone knows recording is very important. So we are just trying to design a product to fill this gap. And of course, the solution will be very cost effective. If we check the cost for each channel of the recording, then it's really very competitive. Well, when we trying to design these products, as previously mentioned, we just try to make it plug and play, easy to use. Well, of course, we need to support quite a lot of the basic functions, like we can support playback while recording, and also we need to support multi-channel recording simultaneously. And all these are supported with our Cube R1. So with, of course, this is very easy to understand. We can receive different video sources in with the Cube R1. We will be able to record all those sources, and with the recorded files, we will be able to do those kind of either just a profile, just stored as as a kind of backup file, or we probably can do the post-production or whatever to support different software or different systems. So with the Cube R1, of course, I think this we can go quickly. Here, I would like to mention some of the highlights with our Cube R1. So one of the unique points is actually this is the only recorder that can support the original NDI codec for the recording. So that means if you are using the Speed HQ, or we call the NDI high bandwidth, that means the recorded file will be in speed HQ. But if you are using the NDI HX inputs, then the recorded file will be the H.264, H.265 formats. But of course, we can even support the transcoding. So if you are having the NDI high bandwidth inputs, we can also choose to transcode the files to H.264 or H.265, which means you can probably save quite a lot of the space, because of course NDI high bandwidth is quite the bit rate is quite high, and of course that will take a lot of the space. So according to our understanding, even if you are using the studio monitor to do the recording, so no matter what kind of video sources you are taking in, all the files restored will be speed HQ. So this is one of the unique points on the markets. As we got quite a lot of customers asking if we are recording the original file, and then the answer is yes. But just for your information, if you want to do the transcoding, that means you can only do one channel of the transcoding. It will not support 9 channels, because the transcoding actually consumes a lot of the CPUs. The record while playback is also one of the unique feature we would like to talk about. So of course, if you start the recording, then after the recorded file is generated, after probably about 10 seconds, then you can select this file and then you can playback. So for the playback here, actually we are showing, so you can either use the press button, the buttons here with the touch screen to go backward or forward, or you can also select the speed to with different speeds, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, or you can also use the physical buttons to go back to the end or to the very start point. Well, also another point is, if you want to do the slow motion playback, then you can use the scroll wheel very easily to playback as accurate as every frame. So that means the Cube R1 can also be a kind of slow motion unit. And another point, I'm not sure if you cannot see, or if you can see or not, here there is a kind of icon with live. So if you are playing playback the NDI source, then you can also live it as an NDI source. So that means you can use another display to, or another device to receive this playback file, and you can preview, or you can check, or you can monitor that as well. Of course, the general features, I think previously we all talked about with our, no matter our NDI recorder or the multi-viewer, the NDI core, we have no limits with the NDI sources. Either is from a software, or is from a hardware, is from a camera, or is from your, the NDI tools. From which brands, there is no limits. And also for all kinds of the resolutions, either is 4K or HD, can all be supported. And also we can support different flavors of the NDI, either NDI HX2, HX3, or NDI high bandwidth. Sorry, here NDI HX1 is not supported. I'm sorry, here I think there is a kind of wrong information here on my presentation. And also for the multi-channel recording, very easily you can select the layout. Either you choose 1 or 4 or 9 grids, and then you can easily add the available NDI sources easily, and you can start or stop the recording at the same time. Here from the web UI, you can also see we have the NTP server settings. So that means we can try to synchronize all those NDI sources with the NTP server. For discovery server, that's all enabled. So that means we can automatically find all the available NDSS sources, or we can also manually add the NDI sources through the either through the touch screen or through the web UI as well. For the operation, I actually in my video, I probably can show you the details, but here I can try to explain that. So very easily, you can just use the touch screen to select whatever to to preview, to playback. Well, if you want to start or stop the recording, you can use the physical buttons to long press it to stop. And also with all those scroll wheels, all those buttons, you can easily do all those kind of operation. And of course, with the touch screen, you will be able to set some of the basic informations. For example, the recording storage kit, which one you choose, the SSD one or SSD 2, or you can also choose, for example, you can also set some basic informations. You can upgrade the firmware or whatever. So with the touch screen, you will be able to manage the basic information there. And here, yeah, I have all those information for you. And also you can preview the NDI sources with view meters and also some of the status as well. So talking about the reliability, actually, when we design the units, we have those kind of ideas, just try to make sure this is reliable enough. We have the redundant power supply design, and also we have the SSDs. So there are 2 SSD slots to make sure you can store the files. Either you use store in this SSD and also the other one as a backup, or even the NAS recording as a backup. And of course, for SSD, I think previously we all explained to our partners about SSD. The SSD for this NDI recorder is the industrial grade SSD, which means it can support a very wide range of the temperature to make sure the recording will be still reliable. So that means, even after long time recording, continuous recording, even the temperature of the device or especially the SSD parts, it will go very high, but still we can make sure all the files will be right and stored very reliably. And also from the SSD here, you can see we have those kind of lock switch. So if you unlock the SSD, that means probably you want to take out the SSD, then the system will automatically stop the recording to make sure all the recorded files will be saved, to just in case any of the recorded files will be ruined or destroyed or maybe lost. So the first consideration is to make sure all the recorded files will be stored and saved reliably. Currently, we support the recording file format is the MOV, but of course, we will support more in our further upgrades. But I think MOV is one of the main, and also in the NDI SDK, that's the default format. So right now we only support MOV. But if we want to support like MP4, and previously we heard from our customers about ProRes and all those. So that will take a little bit time to do, to do the development, and probably we will need to do the transcoding. So currently, in order to bring out the product quickly, we only support MOV. For the recording, the storage, as previously we mentioned, the SSD. So the SSD can be either hot swappable, or you can choose which one to store. And right now, what Kiloview can offer is the industrial grade with 2 options, 1 terabyte or 2 terabytes. But in the long run, we probably will test more different brands, different models, and we will give you options of different available models. Then customers probably can even select whatever available from their side. But currently, we recommend our customers to choose the SSD from Kiloview side that has been tested and make sure it can work reliably with the Cube R1. And of course, you don't need to worry about the price because it's industrial grade. We cannot compare it with the consumer grade SSD, but if we compare it with the industrial grade, the same level of the brands, the price from Kiloview side is very, very competitive. And further, of course, if you have this kind of questions, or if you want to get more information, more details, just welcome to contact Kiloview, and also the sales team will be able to share you all the details. For the recording strategy, actually, we currently we only support the round robin recording. That means if you the first SSD is full, then we will automatically switch to the second SSD. But of course, in our next version of the recording, we will support the backup, 2 SSDs simultaneously, and also one SSD as the main and also NAS as the backup. So there will be quite a lot of different strategies supported. And currently we support the schedule function. That means you can schedule to start the recording and the schedule to stop the recording. So that's all supported in the current firmware version. Of course, like all our encoders, decoders, and other devices, we can also get access to the device through the web UI, through the IP address. So on this web UI, actually is quite simple or quite basic. So from the home page, you will be able to check the recording options, and you can start, stop the recording. And also here, we have the basic settings as well. And for the playback part, you can easily select which disk you want to play back. The files are stored, and after select the channel list, and then you can see all those files available, and then you can either play back directly, or you can download the files through the web UI. So this is what we have already done. And also for the firmware upgrades, so there will be different ways to support the upgrades, either directly from the touch screen with a kind of USB drive insert into the units, or you can upload the files here with the web UI, and then you can finish the upgrading directly. Same as all our encoders, decoders, and other NDI converters. It's very easy to use. And from the hardware parts, as previously we mentioned, we also considered how to make sure the units will be work reliably. So there are redundant power supply, previously we talked about, while at the same time, there will be cooling fans to make sure it can work continuously without overheating. And for the Ethernet part, we have the Ethernet with 1 gigabit, and also we will have 2 SFPs to support up to 10 gigabit network to make sure we can support 9 channels and their high bandwidth recording simultaneously. Well, also you can see we got the USB ports and HDMI ports. So with the HDMI ports, that means we can connect to the displays to easily check or we just duplicate the display from the touch screen, so that can be easily used as a kind of a monitor for the recording status, or if we want to do some kind of settings or changes, we can easily use the HDMI to check that. Well, with the USB ports, one of the function we can use is probably you can just connect with your keyboard and your mouse, and then easily you can use the keyboard and mouse to do those kind of quick changing and quick adjustments. So that's just the basic information. There are also like parameters, details, probably we can talk about that later. And also we have the reference, the specifications for your reference, how many hours you can record, or those kind of bit rates information. So further we can share you. So the the last product we would like to talk about is the Cube X1. So same as the Cube R1, we just try to build one of the turnkey solution of our NDI core software. So as we all understand, NDI core is very useful for studios or any of the building, the enterprise or the meeting rooms. They have quite a lot of NDI sources where they want to easily manage, control, or switch between different sources quickly. So, but the thing is, if we offer the NDI core software, that is a kind of Linux-based software. So some of our customers are a little bit afraid with the Linux. It's not because of, maybe it's just not that normal or that common, and they will have a little bit entry level for the users. So previously, when we try to sell the NDI core software, we always have this kind of problems. Either customers say, okay, we don't have the Linux or the even like the Docker environments is hard to get ready for, or sometimes they need to wait for the license. So that means that will also take some time, and also they need to consider about the hardware configuration with the CPUs, the network, and all those kind of things. So in order to make sure customers can easily get this kind of functions, so we just try to develop a product, a turnkey solution product. So that is our Cube X1. So actually the Cube X1 can support up to 16 NDI inputs and 30 NDI outputs. So that means for maybe the small or medium-sized studio with all those inputs and outputs, then with the Cube X1, it would be a perfect solution. So yeah, that's previously what we mentioned. Another reason why we want to design or to develop the Cube X1 is we can easily use those kind of touch screens and the physical buttons to realize the switching very quickly and very conveniently, while the Cube X1 for the NDI signal distribution is not based on multicast, but is based on the server performance. So that will provide more reliability, while at the same time we can realize the seamless switching. So yeah, that's why we have the Cube X1. And of course, the applications, actually probably in the broadcast industry, we can easily understand that. While for the Pro AV industry, we actually have quite a lot of these kind of cases that we can easily use the Cube X1 for the stadium video signal distribution, or in the conference rooms for education in those kind of classrooms, or in the enterprise building. Then we can easily distribute all those NDI sources flexibly. So actually the Cube X1 have very wide application to adapt to different workflows. As previously, we understand the Cube X1 is using the mode to to duplicate the video source from either the camera or the NDI encoders, and then we use the server to duplicate first, and then we just forward the NDI signals through the virtual output. So that means we can realize the seamless switching, because we don't need to disconnect the video signal and then reconnect it again. So that means the switching can be, we're not adding latency, so it's just a seamless switching. And of course, that's what we originally want to realize with the function. But actually, at the same time, we heard from customers sometimes, for example, if the network situation, or there were different circumstances, that probably this kind of mode would not available, or sometimes customers didn't care about the seamless switching, but they just want to make sure every time the connection will be connected without going through the server. Then right now with the Cube X1, we are adding another mode. It's just the traditional routing mode. So there will be 2 different modes available, and then later I will also explain or show you where it is. And another point is we are not doing any scaling, or we are not changing or converting any of the original NDI sources. That means it will follow all the original source, including the tally, the PDZ, the metadata, and all the original information will be passed through our Cube X1. And also previously with our NDI core software, one of the points that we cannot do is to preview the NDI sources. While with the Cube X1, we'll be able to preview all the NDI sources easily. So that means the operation will be even easier and also can be quite quick. So let's go with some of the details. So here you will see we will be able to preview all those NDI sources. But for the NDI source configuration, it will all be done through our web UI. So that means you can log into the web UI first. You can select, there will be 16 inputs selected. So you can select those 16 NDI sources, and then we will be able to preview through the touch screen, and then you can select the outputs, and of course quickly switch to the inputs. So it's quite easy to operate, easy to manage inputs and outputs, and the unique functions or the new functions we're adding with the Cube X1, if comparing with our NDI core software, is we are adding the different distribution modes, while also we can save the control panels as the presets. So if you select any of the preset control panel, that means we can easily switch to what we previously set for just one-click operation. While also the new functions like the cluster server for scalability is also the new features we are going to add to the Cube X1. So yeah, same feature as previously we mentioned. Any type of the NDI formats, any kind of resolutions from different brands, either from cameras, from your software, from any of those devices, either as long as it's an NDI source, we can all support that. And also in the NDI source management, so we have already embedded the discovery server. You can automatically discover the NDI sources available, or even you can add the NDI sources manually. And also for the input and output management, this is a little bit different with our NDI core, but this is even more convenient to operate. So in the control panel directly, you can select the NDI sources, you can manage the NDI sources, you can select which one as number 1 source, number 2 source, you can easily change the labels, while also you can create the NDI outputs, or even you can add outputs in batch. And also for the distribution mode, as previously I explained, either the standard one, which is for seamless switching to go through the server, or you can also choose the routing mode without going through the server. So that's the difference. And also for the control panels, of course, we will have the IO panels or the cross points panels, and with the cross points, we will be able to preview all those NDI sources. So from the web UI, you can also preview the NDI sources as well. And also for the operation, I would like to explain a little bit. So just to make sure once you get the Cube X1 on hand, you can understand what's the logic or the basic ideas when we design the products. So there will be the input area, there will be output area, and also there will be physical buttons. So with this touch screen area, if we select the inputs, then it will also show the status of which outputs are now using this input. While if you select the output, for example, if you choose number 1 output, then you can easily see with output 1 which source we are using or we are getting from. So if you are choosing the number 1 output, and at the same time you are choosing number 2 input, then from the physical button area, number 2 will have a kind of indicator to show you number 2 source is used for number 1 output. So you can easily switch through the physical button. If you select number 3, then it will switch to number 3 video input, while at the same time, the display area will also have this green, the green frame to show number 3 video source is selected. So I'm not sure if I'm clearly explaining that or not, but in the video, I will also try to explain, and then probably while seeing the video, you probably can understand that. And there will be the dashboards from the web UI to showing all those basic information. We will have the logs, we will have the permission management. So different users will have different permissions or different accessibilities to the control panels. So they will be very convenient for this kind of operation. And from the interface, as previously we already showed, there will be a touch screen, there will be those kind of physical buttons. So very easily we can use the touch screen to quickly manage the control panels. We can easily switch between the sources, while at the same time we can check the status, we can do some basic settings, while at the same time we have the redundant power supply, same as our Cube R1. And we also would like to mention is the size of the Cube R1 and also the Cube X1. So we designed all those products to be rack mountable. So that means if you use a kind of rack mount frame, you can easily put the Cube R1 and also Cube X1 side by side to mount it in the racks. So it's very, very easy and very convenient. There will be also specifications, and for the link deck, this is not the topic for today because I know time is limited and I have talked quite a lot. So if you have any questions, just leave your questions in the Q&A window, and I will try to check and also answer your questions. So I now see one question from Simo. Does the E3 support only mixed outputs from SDI and HDMI, or can I send HDMI to a stream destination and SDI to another? The second option, as you mentioned, we can send the HDMI to a stream, we can send the SDI to a stream, but the only thing we cannot do is SDI and HDMI and the mix at the same time. So you can choose SDI and HDMI to different, SDI to one destination, HDMI to one destination, or you can choose the mix SDI and HDMI to one destination. So on the web UI, there will be three different options. SDI and HDMI can be enabled at the same time, but if you choose mix, then SDI and HDMI will be disabled. So that's the way how we can manage with the input with the E3. And one question from Javier, expected delivery time for the E3 and RE3. E3 and RE3 will all, actually we have already delivered some of the E3 units to customers who are really urgent to use. So currently, as I previously explained, we can support the basic functions for encoding, for the streaming, but functions like recording, the intercom is not supported yet, and that will be in the next version. So currently it's just in beta status, but of course we can directly upgrade the firmware with our, further updates, and it's quite easy, just upgrade through the web UI. So if customers can accept that, the delivery can be right away, but we don't want to give the impression to customers that there are still functions not available. So it all depends if customers are really in urgent needs or they can wait. And for IE3 is the same status. The hardware part, everything is ready, and it will be available for shipping within this month in August. Next question from Leo. Will there be a control panel for the playback function? For the control panel, according to our the roadmap, we will be able to control it through our link deck series. But if you are talking about any of the third-party controllers through either the USB connection or those kind of things, this is also included in our next generation, or not next generation, but next firmware updates. So this is definitely we considered, as previously we understand the playback function is very unique. Is there any is an API available for the Cube X1? Of course, yes. That will be for all the Kiloview products we can support, and we can provide the APIs for your integration. That's for sure. Let me see. There are any other questions? I know there are a lot of our partners here. Okay, how often the NTP server is updated? Can it be tweaked for smaller time frame updates? Is that a Linux underneath? Will admin's password shared in the menu? For the NTP server, it depends on the NTP server you are using. You can configure the NDI, the NTP server IP address. So it depends on the server itself. It is a Linux underneath. The Cube X1, Cube R1, they are all Linux based. Will admin password shared in the menu? Yes, you will have the password, but of course, when you log in, you will need to change the password. So, any other questions? I can see there are a lot of chats. Can I share the brochure and also the presentation? Of course, the presentation will be shared, and but as I mentioned, this is only for internal training for our partners only. So please make sure you are not going to share publicly, because there are some kind of functions that need to be updated. We just want to make sure you all understand and you are clear, but it's not for our end users. So when we will make the PTZ cameras, this is not in our roadmap yet. We, as Kiloview is a company, specialized for IP video transmission and also all those IP video management and the solutions. For camera parts, actually, it will be a different area. So that means there are quite a lot of those image knowledge, or those kind of, I don't know, a lot of those details, but probably this is not currently Kiloview is going to do. We will still focus on the IP technologies for encoding, decoding, transcoding management, while of course we have those controlling systems, routing systems, multi-viewing recording, while also we're building this kind of systems, and also we will adjust some of our products to be able to fit into different vertical industries. I can see. Thank you, Nick. Yeah, I'm just trying to explain the product details to our partners to make sure you can get the information, and once the products are available, then you can answer customers' questions, and just trying to provide the information. Well, as I previously mentioned, I will have a video available for you, and further we will email you with a link. Then you can also check how everything looks like. Any other questions? I can see. Okay. Special request for the P3 5G bonding. This backpack should be done. Very important. Yes, I agree. And this is already, I think, in our R&D plan. And right now, I think we are designing that. We will share you the presentation, of course. Someone raising the hands. Let me see. Any other? If you have any questions, just leave it with the Q&A, and then I can see your questions or your suggestions or ideas. Okay. Okay, Ram, you have any questions? Let me see. So if you don't have any questions right now, then probably we will end this training for today. And of course, any questions, just feel free to drop us an email, or the way how to contact with our sales team. So just feel free to contact us, or if you are interested to get a demo, then you can also contact us, of course. I saw a suggestion from Pablo: add LUT supports and live tracking to your encoders, please. This can be we can take notes, and also we'll give suggestions to our product team. But further, of course, we will discuss about that. Will the link deck able to control the Cube series? This is what we plan to do, but not now. We will need upgrade with the link deck. Rod, will the Cube X1 be able to support both matrix mode and production mode, so routing can happen in the system while there is a production happen? We can only choose either or, so either the matrix mode or the routing mode. So that's not at the same time, but you need to switch and you can select. NDI 5 Advanced SDK have a multi-channel sync to Genlock. This we noticed that currently is not included, because for the Genlock function, that will actually require kind of hardware modification. So we will, of course, keep an eye on that, and we will consider this request and see what we can do next. Will multi-channel to Genlock be accessible in the future? As yeah, that's what I explained. Can clients run 2 Cube X1 on one network and configure in different matrix production modes? This is what I previously mentioned in the presentation about the clustered function. So the clustered function means we can get 2 Cube X1 in the same network, or even with different networks, then we can expand the different functions. But if we will be able to choose the matrix production, that can definitely be a good suggestion, and then we can consider it when we develop the cluster modes. Any other questions? Or probably as it's already 1 hour, so probably if you have any questions, feel free to email me or email our support team or email our sales team, or you can always leave us any message through whatever way you know to contact us. So probably that's all for today, and thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for your support to Kiloview. Thank you so much, and goodbye. See you next time. Thank you.